Hello, welcome to the second edition of ISN Vintage Real Talk. And I am here today with some awesome ISN Vintage sellers. I'm Sarah the Traveling Button, and these are my guests today who I'm going to have go around and just tell you a little bit about themselves and their shop. And we're going to talk about all things vintage Insta selling today. So welcome, and happy Valentine's Day, friends.
Valentine's Day.
Hope you are having a wonderful day.
Happy Halloween, y'all.
I love that. So whether you are rocking it solo with a sweetheart, what have you, this is going to be the Valentine's Day edition. So it's going to be all about the vintage love. All right. So David, take us away. Tell us who you are, and then we'll go Rhonda and Jennifer. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm David, Junk Drunk Antiques, and you may know me better as the husband of the Traveling Button and the Vintage Shop Coach. So Sarah and I have been partners in crime for over almost 20 years now. And so we've done photography, and now we're doing vintage. And she's brought me along with her and helped teach me everything I know, basically. So I sell mainly on Instagram and now on YouTube as well. So I love vintage. I love learning about it and finding people that appreciate it. So it's just a fun thing to do in life.
Right on.
All right. I'm Rhonda with the Cracked Kitten, and I started my shop a year ago today with ISN.
Congratulations.
Wow. That is so exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. I cannot believe how fast the year has gone, and how much I have learned in the year from being part of the community. But I started off, I have another shop, which is also part of ISN. It's my handmade, upcycled, creepy goodness, resurrected home goods. But that's how I got started. I would take broken or damaged vintage goods or, household decor and upcycle it to bring back new life, but always with horror inspired themes, because
that's so cool.
That's my jam.
Yeah.
So, as I would go find things for that shop, my love for all the other vintage I was finding that was perfect as is, just grew and grew. And I thought, I want to do this too. Yeah. And so I feel like both shops kind of represent my personality, a little sweet, a little sinister, all wrapped in one. And it gives me the opportunity to explore both of them. My love for the vintage, it just grows day by day. And my love for fixing damaged goods is still there. So awesome. It's a win-win for me.
Well, happy anniversary, girl. That's so awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
Cool.
So I am Jennifer. I'm with Junebug Vintage. I first started my shop, last year, 2020. I really launched into selling mainly on Instagram. My background is I've always loved vintage. My mom used to take me, garage sailing and thrift shopping with her. She always was always there for a good deal. My shop name, I changed my username to my shop name about midline last year. She used to call me Junebug. That's what her nickname was for me, because she said I used to get as brown as a Junebug, because if I got out in the sun, I'd turn really dark. I get really, really brown and dark. So what's her nickname for me. I first started upcycling furniture. So I would pick stuff out of the garbage. I'd repaint it or strip it, bring it back to its original glory. And that's how I kind of got started with selling. I would sell pieces on Facebook Marketplace. And then I kind of got more into picking up the other stuff. I've been a Pyrex collector for about probably 7 years now. So I just kind of broaden that aspect. And in fact, the piece behind me is an upcycled piece. I found this hutch at a secondhand store, and it was ugly when I got it. And now it's beautiful. I just like giving things new life. Sometimes especially if people throw them away, there's nothing better than taking something that someone else thinks is garbage and turning it into something beautiful again. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's the same way with a lot of the vintage finds we find. I do a lot of estate sailing and stuff. So I like to describe my style as farmhouse kitsch. I kind of like the farm, not too farmhouse, but I got to throw a little bit of kitsch in there every now and then. So that's like my style.
Excellent.
Absolutely. That is awesome. Well, you guys have been such a wonderful addition to the community, and it's been really fun watching you both blossom. So talk to me a little bit about, I know Rhonda, you have a booth. So how did that influence you in doing what you're doing now?
As far as live selling and
Yeah.
and
From the brick and mortar experience to, what we're into.
yeah, well, I'm always trying to find another way to share what I love doing. And when I joined Instagram just through my other shop, I just kind of started seeing what else was happening in the vintage world. And I thought, well, I was on Facebook too. So I was first introduced through the Facebook flash sales that we would have. And I thought, well, I could do that. I'm typically, a camera shy person. The live sales things, if you would have asked me if I would have done that a year ago, I'd be like, no, But once I kind of progressed and kind of got my footing through just the static posts, and I thought I'm gonna venture on to the next step here and see what I can do. But I like having the multi platforms.
Yeah.
I've got the 2 booths. I have shows that I do with my Resurrected shop, and then I have the live selling and static, sales through my feed. And I'm not sure I have room for anything else, but it sure is fun. And I really enjoyed this path that I chose about a year ago here. So
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm so glad. Well, welcome aboard, and we're thrilled to have you. And then Rhonda ended up on our admin team, bless her heart. So welcome to that crazy world. But it's been awesome, and I am thrilled to have such a big group of people that we can network with. So for those that may not know, ISN is Instagram Shop Network. It's something that I created about 8 years ago. And basically it is for people that want to sell Instagram or want to sell vintage on Instagram. So Jennifer and Rhonda joined our community, and I have watched these 2 ladies really blossom between live sales and curating their vintage and figuring out what's selling. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys about that I have seen in other live sales and other communities that I thought would be an interesting discussion too is occasionally I'll see people in a live sale like hold up items to show people versus curating what you're going to show people. What are your thoughts on that, David? Have you noticed?
Well, it's interesting because that you asked that, because I've actually thought about that. And last night I had a sale, and about halfway into it, I thought, well, should I grab something else because certain things were selling? There were certain buyers that were looking for certain things, but I previewed other things. And so what I did was I stuck to what I had previewed, had researched and cleaned, because we're not always going to have, you can go out with the best of the best and you may not have the best sale that you thought you were going to get. You have great vintage, but the buyer's not there. So I don't think you should ever really change the structure of your sale or what you're planning on doing to adjust to what's selling during that moment. I always like to take notes and think, okay, next time I sell with this person, I know they have kitsch buyers or they have Pyrex buyers, and I'll preemptively think about the next sale. But so when I approach a sale with someone, I do like to see kind of what they are bringing. I like to see what their buyers tend to like, people that comment on their posts, because we all have different organic followers. Because I'm different than Sarah. She can go live from my Instagram. We have about the same followers, and they're not all the same people. So she can sell kitsch and find a bigger audience from her kitsch viewers that she's been establishing for years, whereas my viewers tend to be more oddities, antiques, just weird things. So Yeah, I like to kind of stick with what I do, keep my brand going, and eventually the followers and the viewers and the buyers will follow.
That's definitely right. What about you guys? How do you all curate for a sale? What's your methodology when you're like, okay, I've got a sale with so and so. It's on Thursday night. How many items do you like to bring typically, guys? And what's your methodology for how you curate for those sales?
So I think for me, I think it's depending on who my co-seller is how I curate. I also tend to pick what I know. Like I have an eye for kitsch. I have an eye for Pyrex. I have an eye for that aesthetic, and even like religious items. I don't know why, but I'm like one of those weirdos
Same. I
that
love those.
loves to
David.
collect the religious memorabilia. So I pick what I know. I am trying to branch out a little more and get into more like the glassware and stuff, because I know like there are a lot of mid-century people that like the glassware and stuff, and I'm trying to learn and stretch out more with that. I'm also a big holidays picker. Like I love Christmas.
Yeah.
I will pick Christmas year round.
Yes.
So, if I go live, you can expect at least one or two Christmas items. Probably I'm always going to bring, because I love Christmas. I'm always going to pick Christmas year round, and I'll probably try to sell it year round.
Yeah.
But I think it also depends. Like, I think the last two times I've done a live sale, I've done it with Shadia, and Shadia has she does a lot of like viewers choice. Like she asks we ask the active audience, what are you guys looking for? So I always have at least 15 to 20 items already pre-selected. But if I feel like the audience is asking for stuff, I always have a little bit of this and that on the side that I can always pull really easy and bring from. So
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll do the same. Usually I'm right there with you with the 15 to 20 items, but I always pull a little bit extra. And sometimes I'll even have, if I had a few things that didn't sell at the last sale, I'll have those handy to grab too if the need arises.
That's a great point, Rhonda. Yeah.
And then, I typically will go and do a little research, especially if it's a new co-seller that I haven't sold with before. See what they're into, and in our conversations, I like themed ideas because it helps me like live in a little box and know what my boundaries are here, because my mind goes and I want to bring all the weird, and that doesn't apply to everybody.
Right.
It's good to know what you know, but it's also good to know that there's other people out there that aren't into what you're into, and let's have a variety for everybody to enjoy. And it also helps me learn a little bit more about other vintage that I'm not aware of. I've never been a glassware, dishware person, and I've learned so much in the last year about it. It makes me want to bring it now because I understand it, and I know about it, and I also want to keep it.
Yeah, that's kind of where we are. This last year and a half, we've definitely learned more about glass than we did before, and it has helped us branch out and brand out and have more followers and viewers. And I do think, like with doing a sale, I love the idea of bringing some Christmas, bringing different things, because the eclectic, I find that when you bring a mixture of 15 different eclectic items, you end up getting your boho buyers, you get your mid-century buyers, you get your oddity buyers, your religious buyers, you get all of them, and they keep checking in, seeing, hey, have you brought Santa Claus? Have you brought this? Nope, I'm back in a minute, and it is kind of nice to have all the different types in one sale.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm one of those people, when I'm getting ready for a sale, I like to be really prepared. I like to have all my descriptions written out. I like to have all my prices preset. Yeah. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know what order I'm going in. But then what happens a lot of times is the sale will start and you're like, oh, I should change this up. Just like what you guys were talking about. Well, people are really into glass right now. Maybe I'll show my glass item first. So I'll change up my order of how I had it planned. And I do try to always curate to who I'm selling with, because I'm one of those sellers. And I think a lot of us are like this, where I'm a jack of all trades. I follow the trends. I follow what's selling. I pay attention to what's selling for other people and what's selling for myself. And then I try to kind of cater to that. So in the 8 years that I've been selling vintage, I've seen everything from like kitsch being red hot to like kind of declining, and then glass made its way and then slightly declines and then goes into another trend. And it's really neat to kind of just cater to what your buyers are looking for most. But I do the same thing when I'm paired up with someone. I, definitely try to cater to what they're going to be selling and their audience as well as my own.
Right.
So I think that has served me well too, in having kind of a well-rounded bunch of followers that know that I do bring glass, I do bring kitsch, I do bring ceramics. I love pottery, I love mid-century. You can find a little bit of everything. And that's what my specialty is not having a specialty. So, but I gravitate to kitsch. You all know that. So but that's my jam. So I know too, what I've been talking to a lot of my coaching clients about recently, especially when you're new, is doing these quad sales. So it's just like what we have right here up on the screen. It's for sellers, and we're showing you our items, right, that we have curated for that sale. And what I have found recently, especially, is that it's a quick way to gain a whole bunch of followers, because you're taking the followers from all four of you and combining them into one live sale, whether it be on Insta or on YouTube. And I think that it is really, really, it serves everyone involved really well to be able to not only, have a larger audience for your sale, which definitely helps, but to have a well-rounded audience of the followers that of the people that you're selling with. So let me ask you guys, have you done quad sales? What are your experiences? What do y'all think?
I've done a couple quad sales, and I've enjoyed them, and I definitely gained followers from doing them. I feel like you have to go into it kind of with a different expectation than you do with just a one-on-one with another seller.
Mhm.
It will be a little bit of a slower pace in my opinion,
Yeah.
which is fine. I feel like the amount by having the quad sellers, I feel like you're just exposing yourself to so much more and so many other styles of selling that the other sellers are bringing to the table. Their favorite things. For me, I look at everything as kind of a learning opportunity. So I love the quad sales for that perspective, more than anything. I think is I feel like I learned so much from the other people.
Yeah.
Well, and you can curate too. So if you've got a quad sale, typically when we do sales with just two people, like it's just Jennifer and I, we're going to curate like 15 items each. And what we found is that 15 items for the sale is going to take about 2 hours for each, for the sellers together, for two people together. That's 30 items, takes about 2 hours. But then when you do these quad sales, if you bring like 7 to 8 items each, curate your very, very best stuff. And the other 3 people with you are going to curate their very, very best stuff. And it really, when you preview it well and you throw down reels and you let people know what you're going to be bringing collectively all together, it creates a really fun atmosphere, number one. Like, I just love selling with other people. But number two, it really does bring those eyes to the yard, which ultimately equates to sales, which is why we're here. So, David, you have been, which leads me into our reels conversation. You have been really successful with your reels. Can you kind of talk to us about how and why and your methodology that you used with reels?
Sure. So I realized, from listening to the Vintage Shop Coach, that doing some picking videos is a good way to get seen on Instagram, and that is so true. If you can have a baby, you can have a dog. If you put it in a shopping cart from Goodwill, you're going to have a viral reel. That's just the way it goes. But I have found that everybody has their own style. So I have my style of quick, fast, showing something so that way it lures people in. They're like, oh, what is that? And then they watch it. And it's short enough to where they're not bored and they look away. So then it gets the views. So I start with kind of, I basically have my own formula. So I do it kind of like a cookie cutter process. So When I'm out picking, everything's authentic. I see an item that I'm like, oh, I need that. My first instinct is to go grab it, check the price, get excited, go find Sarah and be like, Sarah, look what I found. Instead, I look around, make sure I'm not going to trip anyone or knock anyone over, or someone's going to get to that piece. And I'm going to go ahead and get my phone out. And I don't do a reel through Instagram. I just video it. So I do a regular video, regular time, and I just walk up to the item, normal speed. I try not to shake my camera or jerk it around because you don't want that. It is not good to the eyes, especially when you're looking on Instagram because it is a smaller platform on your phone. And so I film going up to the item. Everybody wants to see you picking it up because then they know, yep, he definitely was there picking that up and looking at it. And then from there, you just kind of create from it. So if you have certain music styles that you like, you add the music. If you want to speed it up, depending on your Instagram, you may have the tools where you can speed up a pre-recorded video. Some people can't. With that being said, you would want to do it from the app if you want to speed up the actual video itself. But yeah, I'm out picking. I get those reels. I get a bunch of B-roll stuff, some fun, just going through glassware and seeing the glassware. I video it real slow, and I'll post it later. So that way, when I'm posting it when most people are on Instagram checking it, whether it's before dinner, after dinner, first thing in the morning. People are on their way to work and they're checking.
How do you figure that out? Like when you want to post them?
So when I want to post them, so there are a few days that are tricky. So I've gone back and watched all of my stuff that I've done in the past, and I can see that what has worked at certain times. I do have on my phone, I'm going to share a couple of time slots that are really, really crucial. So Mondays are difficult days because everybody's back to work. So if you can get a reel posted before you see the sun come up, you've done good, because that means all day Monday, anybody that comes on, if they're following you, watching your stuff, they're going to see that. It's going to pop them up in their feed and they'll view it. If you wait until like 11, you may miss half of your demographic. Another thing is on, Thursdays. Thursdays are a really busy day. So 6 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays is a great time to post a reel. I've only tried thrifting video reels and previews. I've tried other reels that are just kind of fun and silly. Those don't really take off because it does take more viewers to be interested. With that being said, only thing that I've found that has really given me major success in reels, vintage glass. That's it. I've had kitsch. I've had beautiful clocks.
And now I'm sad that Chernobyl Charlie is not your number one reel.
I know. and thank you, Jim.
Why?
Actually helped me name Chernobyl Charlie.
I did. I named Chernobyl
and I'll
Charlie.
Never forget. That was so
He's
cool.
my favorite.
He's my favorite guy. And for like two months, all I did was Chernobyl Charlie, just having fun, trying to get things going. But then I did a thrifting reel and bam, it went to 20,000 views like in a day. And I was like, okay. So I restructured, and it really comes down to short reels, under 7 seconds, not jittery. Pick music that is not going to be offensive or just obnoxious to where they're going to want to mute you or just get away from your page. And then, of course, good vintage.
Yeah, good vintage.
And hashtags.
Yeah. What about you guys? How do you, Jennifer, Rhonda, how do you guys use reels for your business?
So I'm just now getting used to using reels. I am not even though I guess I'm like a younger, well, I shouldn't say younger. I'm over 40. So, but I'm not technology versed really well at all. I use Instagram and I use Facebook, and I'm barely on Facebook anymore. I mainly use it for our ISN groups, and that's really all I use it for. Yeah, and staying in touch with family. So like the ideas of reels were really like frightening to me until I I think I watched Kristen with, and I'm probably going to mispronounce her shop name, Boski House
That's right.
Vintage.
Basically. Yeah.
And how she just did like a short explanation on reels and then like in like the different features. And then I felt a little more comfortable. So my reels mainly now are stills. Like I'll take the stills of the stuff I've photographed and I'll put it in a reel with like each, into a music theme and like, time it for like 15 seconds. And that's the reels I've done. I've done a few reels that actually have like in movement involved and stuff. But when I'm out sourcing, I'm a big estate sale picker. So I don't do a whole lot of like filming because
that's hard to do in an estate sale.
Yeah, exactly. And that's for me. And a lot of times I actually send my sometimes better half, my boyfriend, to estate sales because I work Monday through Friday. I work a 9-to-5 job. So I'm not always able to get to the estate sales on opening days. And he's not recording. He's just going that, like, if I tell him, hey, go get, I see this thing, he just goes and gets the thing if he can get to it. And that's it.
That's awesome.
So I think I need to like, that's one of the things like goals for 2021 is kind of like trying to branch out more with reels and get more comfortable using them. But with the way I source, it's just sometimes it's a little more difficult for me to do that because I'm not in a store. A lot of times I'm at an estate sale.
Yeah.
What about you, Rhonda? Have you had good luck? Do you like them more for previews or do you like them more for fun? How do you use them?
Right now, like in my mind, I think I'm doing it because, I want to get some attention to the items that I'm showing.
Right.
But I think in reality, I'm hitting all the don'ts David just listed. Every reel I do is like a 1980s like music video,
which is super fun to me. I love that kind of stuff. So
the 80s were the best for music videos, though.
Right? And that's why I keep going towards like the music, the funny music or the whatever. But so right now, like, even in this little session here today, I'm learning the benefits and how to actually usefully use the reels to help my shop.
Absolutely.
But for right now, yeah, I'm just having fun with it and interacting with some of my customers, via those reels. Eventually, I'll get there. I kind of baby step everything because, like Jennifer had said, I'm not 100% tech savvy, and learning how to do a lot of that kind of comes as time allows me to learn it.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Yes. Yeah. I think, Reels rolled out over a year ago with Instagram as a feature. And as we kind of had touched on last week, Reels are a way for Instagram to compete with TikTok as a platform, right? So they're very valuable. And I first started making them kind of like David with funny stuff, belligerent Cupid, my little shop mascot, and trying to do some fun content so people could get to know who I am, what I like, what my shop's about, and so on. But as time went on, what we realized is the reels were being weighted more heavily within the Instagram algorithm. So where you might do a post or a story, your reel is going to get double the exposure than that post or the story, because we know, posts only are seen by maybe 7 to 10% of the people that follow us per the algorithm. So we have to try to overcome that somehow. And because Insta wants to compete so desperately with TikTok, they are weighting reels more heavily. That being said, then you get into, well, which reels really work out best? Like David said, the Thrift With Me reels will get you more views and more followers than anything else you do. I will do a preview for a sale, and it's really good stuff. Right? It's like my primo curated stuff, but I will not get as many views on that as when I went and found these Blinko mushrooms in person at the thrift store. And I showed people my hand going in to get it and then taking it out, showing them what it was, showing them and it is like night and day between my preview reels and my thrifting reels. So best advice, guys, if you can utilize the thrifting video while you're out. And like David said, you don't have to go into Insta and create it right then. Just use your camera to get some quick video. And then you can always edit that video within the reels in Instagram. Speed it up, give it effects, put good music to it. Try to use music that's trending, like David said, not offensive. And those are the reels that just absolutely take off. And we realized this, David, if you want to let everybody know, we realized this when David was then monetized on his reels only. And so we both have monetization via Insta, but I don't have the monetization that David has. And David, kind of tell everybody how that works, because I want you guys to also know and keep in mind, you don't have to use reels, but the more you do, there is actually kickbacks and benefits for that we didn't even know about. So you tell everybody what happened for you.
Okay. So for me, it was late November. I started realizing I just wanted to try to work my shop a little different. And so I took on that advice about getting thrifting reels going. And it took first of all, it was consistency. The first 3 weeks, I posted almost every single day a thrifting reel, and we just happened to be thrifting a lot during that time, so it worked out. And none of them were really taking off too much, 2,000, 3,000 views, which is good. And then I found some black glass in Pueblo, did a reel of that, and that one went viral.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it went viral, and honestly, that was the first one that had ever happened to me, and I wasn't expecting it. So it happened, and what I started doing then was I would check on that reel every day, a couple of times a day, like any comments that are in there, respond to the comment with a clapping hand, a heart, anything, just something. You don't have to respond with 4 words or anything. On those responses, they just want a response, because then it pops up in that person's phone. Oh, this person commented. That activity then gets it recycled into the feed, the reel feed, because it's trending, it's doing well, it's picked up more steam again, and so it'll then go into the feed, and you'll see it pop back up. And that's what happened with that glass. So that went up to like 90,000, and then all of a sudden I got notification from Instagram that you got a $100 bonus, surprise bonus, for doing so well on a reel, and I had no idea that was a thing. And then they said, okay, your next objective is in a month, you can post as many reels as you want, as long as you get 1 million views with all of those reels posted, you get $1,000.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I started off real hardcore when I first started on it, because I was worried I'm not going to get that. And it sure did. It happened. So it happened about 2 weeks early for me. I have yet to be paid. They do pay on the first of the month, every month. So my challenge finished at the middle of January, but that payment comes in March 1st. So I don't have another bonus coming. Because they're really still trying to figure out what they're doing here. So I'm just keeping going with my reels. But what's cool is the first reel basically was like the extreme push for my shop. So that one reel that goes viral, if you keep doing good content, it'll keep that steam going from that viral reel. And then you keep posting more reels, and you do it consecutively, and more will go into that viral feed. I don't know how it works, honestly, but it's kind of like feeding the beast. You give the candy to the right thing to that beast, and it'll give you more opportunities. I feel like once Instagram noticed me, they started allowing me to be seen a little more, possibly. I don't know. But also with reels, I forgot to mention, one of the most important parts is the actual cover image for your reel. Yeah. I've done with thrifting videos up close on the item. I've done it up close on the item with my hand on it. The ones that really get the views, and it's really kind of simple when you think about it. The views are when it's backed up from the shelves and you see a bunch of stuff, and there's one really awesome thing in there, but it's so small. So the viewer, what are they going to do? They're going to hold the phone up to their face, and they're going to watch it, probably watch it twice, because they want to see what am I missing? I don't know what you're telling me about. And a little hook, something in the comments, say, you will not believe the price on this or whatever. It could be overpriced and you didn't pick it, but just the fact that you've created, like, look at this, and then you can't believe it, and then they have to watch it. They watched a couple of times, you get those extra views, and it'll help it go viral.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Good advice. Really good advice.
Yeah.
I'm still learning. That's the thing too. I am the vintage shop coach, and I have been doing this on Insta, but I will tell you, I learn something new like every day,
Same.
whether it's about vintage, whether it's about features, monetization, what have you. And so, yes, the advice to you guys on working on your reels is keep at it and do it with consistency. If you can do a reel a day, and I know that sounds crazy in terms of content because it's a lot, but if you can do a reel a day, you will find you will find a steady stream of not only followers, but new buyers that will come to the
Yes.
live sales. Because what we've also found is the demographic for people that are coming to our live sales versus our static sales are completely different. There's some people that love video content, some people that hate it and just want a static post. So what we want to try to do as vintage shops is cater to everybody, no matter what their age. I think it's a younger demographic that likes the video content, older demographic likes the post, and I want to be one of those shops that tries to cater to everybody. So really good advice, David. Let me ask you guys this. So when you are on Instagram and you're thinking in terms of marketing and sales prep and all of that, how does your curation of items, and I'm talking your vintage, like what you pick, how does your curation of your items play into how you're going to sell it? So let's talk about, how do you decide? Well, this is going to go in a live sale. These items are for a static sale. Or do you just stick to one? Do you guys do both? Jennifer, Rhonda, tell me about how you curate.
I do both. So I think if I'm doing a static sale, like with a lot of our ISN static sales, there's like a theme. Like I think the next one I'm in is like ISN lovely linens. I've been stockpiling linens and picking like some random beautiful items for a while now. So like, it's not that I necessarily curate for a static sale. I just usually sign up for a static sale that I know I have ample inventory on.
Right.
When I'm doing live sales, I curate based on what I'm seeing trending and what I'm seeing is doing well with the vintage buying market.
Right.
Like right now, it seems like there's like glass, Pyrex is hot. What else is I seen recently? Lucite candles. Everyone loves the lucite candles. And like, man, I was this close to getting one at an estate sale like last week. And I was so disappointed. Like the first time I've ever seen them here, because I don't see them I don't see them at all. Like even at antique malls here. I guess it's just not really a big thing where I'm at, but, for live sales, I definitely try to curate what's on trend more than a static sale. Static sales, I usually sign up for what I know I have inventory for already, and may pick a few things up here and there after I've signed up for it. But for live sales, I definitely follow what's trending more so than static sales.
Absolutely. What about you, Rhonda?
I started off strong with static sales. And then when I started live selling, I kind of felt like keeping up with both was really difficult for me. I work full time. I've got a teenage son in every sport under the sun. So, my days are busy and fast. And, but when I can participate or when I have time to do the static sales, I definitely go for what I feel like is trending. My live sales, I prefer to have probably 50% of the items that I love, because I feel like if I can bring my passion to the table about this item, I can hopefully, connect with somebody who feels the same way, so it's, I don't know, it's a little bit of both for me. I want to bring what's trending, but I also want to bring, things that I know and love.
How do you, Rhonda, find out how do you pay attention to what's trending?
Buy all all the items in the static feeds and the other shops that are selling, the other live sales that I'm watching.
I watch a lot of live sales.
It's a great way to learn. Yeah,
It is.
It really is. And
see what's going on.
not only from a seller's perspective, but from a buyer's perspective,
Right.
learning about the items and how to identify what they are and who made them. And I mean, the live sales seriously are like my go-to for vintage education.
Yes. I think that is such a good point to touch on, Rhonda, too, that I have learned like so much, and there is such a plethora of information out in our vintage community that everybody knows a little bit of something different about something that I don't have knowledge about. And I've so enjoyed watching and learning and learning everything from glass to Italian glass to what makes up different glass and how glass is blown. And when you have
Astounding
a wealth
glass.
of info in this community, that's what's so neat is, pair up with, you have your knowledge. And as a seller, you want to pair up with someone else that has great knowledge about their items. I've been to some live sales where they're like, glass candle holder, it's cool if anybody wants it, throw a bid down $20. No. You want to have your items pre-researched. You want to know brand. You want to know era. You want to be able to educate not only your fellow sellers like we are, but you want to educate your customer into what they are looking at, what they are bidding on, even down to what the value is. I know some people feel differently about, okay, this item that I found currently goes for 50 on eBay, blah, blah, blah. Some people like that, some people don't. But I think that there is a benefit in educating your audience of, okay, this is what this is. This is why it's special. This is why it's beautiful. And then, you're showing the item that is cleaned and looking shiny and happy and beautiful to everybody involved. And then that generates that buzz and that excitement because, oh, that's Blinko from the 50s. Dang, that's cool. I love mushrooms. Maybe I want to bid on that. So there, you know what I mean? I think by having a good base knowledge about your items, researching them with passion and gusto really makes all the difference in these live sales, guys.
I agree.
This is the other thing.
I think also like just not only like are you educating your buyer that may be buying that item at a live sale, but you're also educating them because I'm sure the majority of our buyers like ourselves are thrifters and they go out thrifting, they go out estate sailing. So now that they have that knowledge, when they're out and they see something, they can go, oh, this is what Sarah, the traveling button was talking about. Right. These are Blinko mushrooms. And they go ahead and they know they can grab that piece and they're getting a good deal on it. Yeah. Like I wouldn't have known that Blinko was a maker of anything 6 months ago, but now I've like just through listening to other lives, I've learned so much and know to look for the mark and pick it up if it's a good price.
Absolutely. And then curate those sales, guys.
Yeah.
So, okay. Here's the other thing that I kind of wanted to touch on today that I think is important. So we do static sales, we do live sales, and there is a sales process to planning all of this out. And a lot of times I have clients ask me, where do I begin? What is the best way to even get into this arena? And always my first answer is get a calendar and then start curating. Find a partner, plan your dates that okay, I'm going to do one live sale a week to start, or even one live sale a month, whatever that looks like for you, whether you work part-time or full-time, however you can fill that into your calendar. But what I also want people to keep in mind when they are planning this sales process is live selling. First of all, you want to be prepared. You want to write your info down on your sheets, what you're bringing, your starting price. You want to clean your items, all that good stuff, right? But then the back end is just as important as the front end, and showing those items, getting the bids, writing the info down. And then you've got to have time to invoice. It is time consuming because when we invoice, we're also figuring shipping. That's how about 90% of us work, is once we invoice for the item, we're figuring shipping on that, we're sending that invoice out, and then we pack your box once it's paid and get it sent out. Well, all of that involves time. So, what I recommend when you're just starting out and trying to figure out how do I even allow myself the time and process to get into this, use your calendar and plan out a day for the sale, a day for the invoicing, and a day for the shipping. And those are going to serve you really well. Okay. Being able to plan your sales out according to time. Because if you have sale after sale after sale after sale, and then you get to this huge shipping pile, it's really intimidating. I've been there.
Yeah.
It is.
It's intimidating me after one live sale. Sometimes looking at my pile, I'm like, oh my gosh, my dining room table is just because I use my dining room table as like my shipping station. I don't have it and it's just covered with stuff. And my kids will be coming over and they'll be like, Mom, we can't sit down and eat. I'm like,
sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Get it. David's like, yep. Our stove is shipping central. And, we have a very small house and we're doing this all from home full time at this point. And literally there's just stuff everywhere all the time. I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but
I would say, this is 50% organization.
I try to keep my inventory there's a linen closet I have an extra shelf on. So like all my inventory is sitting there unless it's already been photographed. If I have a rolling cart of stuff that's been photographed and that will go in a static sale or stuff that I'm bringing to a live sale, it'll go on a cart. And then my shipping stuff, all my shipping materials are in like boxes and stuff are in the laundry room. And when it's shipping day, I just bring all of it out onto the dining and put everything on the dining room table. But I will say that I'm one of those sellers that I don't feel 100% comfortable invoicing unless I've already got the item boxed and weighed. So I package everything. Like if I have a buyer, like I package it, I wrap it, I package it, I put it in a box, I weigh the box, and then it's terrible to say this, but I use Post-it notes and I write down their Instagram name, the box dimensions and the shipping weight. And then I have all my Post-it notes as I'm going into Pirate Ship and doing, figuring out the prices and the invoicing. So, although it is helpful
honestly,
now.
Jennifer, when I was new, we started like that too. Like I didn't know shipping prices, so I did everything. Now I do it this way, but when I first started, that's a great way to go. Actually, if you are not familiar with shipping prices and you are brand new, definitely pack up your box, see what it weighs with the item, the box, and the bubble wrap, and you will get to the point where you won't have to do that anymore, and you'll be able to just go in and invoice and know how much shipping is going to be off the top of your head. But when you're new, I think that's a great way to go.
I think it's also because I ship from Florida and I'm like
way
out. Yeah, I'm like way out. I'm like almost south. We're almost South Florida. We're a bit far south. So my packages have to travel like quite a ways, even if they're just going like, one state over.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I have to, because I'm aware of my busy lifestyle, I have to plan my days. So, like for me, I know I've got my static sale or my live sale every Tuesday with Sacred Heart Vintage.
Yeah.
I know within 2 days I give myself the invoicing task.
Yep.
And then by every Sunday I try to ship everything that's been paid. And I try really hard to stick to that. Because, when I first started, and I'll be honest here, I jumped in feet first with a live sale and I thought, I'm this. Okay. Sheila with Heart of Home Vintage was like, Rhonda, you can do it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it with you. And I did it. And then I did a couple more and then I did a couple more. And I thought, oh my gosh, I felt all over the place because I didn't realize what was involved.
Yeah.
Right.
And I felt like I had gotten in a little bit over my head. So probably that was maybe July-ish. And, I stopped maybe in September, regrouped, set a schedule for myself.
Smart.
Now knowing all the steps involved, from curating to shipping it out the door, and the time involved to do that, just, so now we just baby step it. When I feel like I've mastered this process, then I'm going to add on another live sale a week, or I'm going to,
Great way to do it.
try to post more in my
Smart,
feed.
Rhonda.
Yeah, I think I'm like right now, my goal for 2021 is like one live sale per month. Cause like
Nice.
that's just with me working like with my 9-to-5 job,
Sure.
like that's within what I can curate. Like that's feasible for me. Plus, like, and I do the same thing. Like my live sales this day, I allocate the next 1 to 2 days for packing and getting everything ready. I usually invoice by like the third day, and then shipping. Like as soon as those invoices are paid, then the package, I schedule a pickup or I go and take it. Luckily, I live next to a UPS store that I can just, if my packages are in my car when I'm at work on my way home from work, I can just drop it off into UPS. So
Exactly. No, I think that's a very valuable point that you guys were saying on, learning as you go, and like, oh my gosh, now that I've sold all this stuff, that's just half of it. The other half is the invoicing and the shipping, and having a set method of what these days are going to look like. And we've also, you guys, had to even build into our calendar now that we're doing this full time. We've had to actually build into the calendar days to go pick, because what happens is we find ourselves literally on the back end of things, invoice shipping. The sale itself only took a couple hours, but the follow through takes much more than that. So when you're new and starting out, allow yourself time and try to get into, thinking about, this is not just one day of a sale that I've got to have to sell these items. This is actually probably going to be more like a 3-day process. And then plan those days, plug those days into your calendar, just like Rhonda did. Sunday is her shipping day, and making a set shipping day per week will absolutely save your life in this business. We ship once a week, sometimes twice or 3 times, depending on how hairy that week is. But we always, no matter what, have one set shipping day that is just devoted to shipping and nothing else, because that is so important in terms of building your business and getting people their items on time, especially when we're talking like seasonal items like Easter or Christmas or Valentine's Day. And you've got people wanting to decorate with what they bought from you. They don't want to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get that item. You know what I mean? They want to decorate with that little elf now. So we're going to package up little elf and we're going to get his butt out the door. So that's definitely a plan for you guys to think long haul, especially those of you that maybe just are starting out. Definitely try to get yourself a set sales calendar. Plan out your sales days weekly and monthly. Plan out your invoicing day and plan out when you're going to ship, and it will save your life, I promise. So when we're talking about organization for shipping, which is a whole nother, with the tiny house problems, I think a lot of us have. How do you guys organize your orders and get everything to where it's, like let's say you've got combined orders and you've got someone that bought from this live sale and they bought from this static sale, and you've combined that invoice and you put those items together. David, do you want to talk a little bit about, I know how we do it, but I'm always interested to hear how other people do it too, because there is no one right way. Okay. There's just what works for me, what might work for you, and so on. So I want everybody to feel like they've got somewhere to plug in on getting organized.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like for us, because we are 2 shops together, you have to think of, there's 2 people to do shipping, but there's also 2 shops to ship. With that, there is a strategy to keeping organized. At first, it was all in our head, and we were like, okay, Mary gets these 2 orders, and we're like, okay, I think we can start this way. No, there's no way you can do that.
That was cool.
That was crazy. So now what we do, there are case-by-case basis. Like, let's say Kelly is going to be at my sale tonight, and she knows I've got a sale tomorrow night, or Sarah has a sale tomorrow night. She's like, can you wait to invoice until after both of your sales? Because I want to combine it. I love that, because then I'm like, okay, I know not to invoice yet, so that way it'll all be on one invoice. It's not always that smooth, we'll have 2 invoices for the same person, 2 different items, but they're going to ship together and combine. So we put it in the invoice, combined shipping, so we can see it. But I printing a packing slip for every single invoice that was done. I print those up first. I go to the counters and I go ahead and organize
My
all the
counters in
orders.
my home.
Yeah. So I put the sheets down, I get all the items, and I separate it all out. Usually, if there's something left on the counter that doesn't have a sheet, we have to figure out what that's about. So it helps us kind of get errors, human errors. I may skip over a line item and not see an extra QP in there. And so when I'm packaging it up, I may not notice that. But as I'm organizing the orders, I see a QP laying there by himself. I'm going to look. So that keeps us from having errors. And then I just start packaging. So I try to use all the space we have and go through it kind of like I would be at a factory. So I'll wrap every single thing in the tissue, go through that whole process. Then I'll get all the newspaper or whatever, wrap all those items. Then I'll go ahead and come back through with bubble wrap. And then I'll come back through with boxes. And so it's just a kind of a sweep, and then they come over to the desk and the packing slips on the front of the box, and I just pick it up and I go ahead and enter the info in and ship it off. So it's a really seamless for us this way. It sounds like a lot of extra work, but what it's done for us is kept any questions out of the air. Like, no, there's no, we can be like, no, I know for sure that did get shipped because it's not here and it made it through that first process. So we have our own long process to keep everything organized.
And we keep what's sold item. So like if it's an item that's sold after my live sale, I move it to the sold pile. Mm-hmm. We have a sold pile, and then we have a waiting pile, and then we have an unsold pile, which is stuff that I want to recycle back into the inventory. So just having that sold pile to work from, like you said, and then if there's an item left, you're like, wait, I know that's sold. Well, either that person hasn't paid yet, or it's my screw up and I need to go back and check. But it's kind of foolproof too, in that way, to where we're not, the volume of orders that we're dealing with, we're not messing them up.
Right.
What about you guys? How do you organize and get ready for shipping?
I have pretty much that same process. Like like right here is my selling station. Like I feel like I label them as stations. This is where I do the selling. And then once I have, and as like I'm writing all my notes down during my live sale. So my sheet is kind of my checklist of if I've invoiced them and if they're ready to ship. But after my live sales, then I move from this station to the pending payment station, which is a shelf in the landing up the stairs.
Yes.
So I put everything that is technically sold, pending an invoice or pending payment. Once a payment is made, then I bring it downstairs to my shipping station, which is typically me on my living room floor watching football or a horror movie or something, and I just pack as I go. And my paper kind of carries through the whole process. If I've got somebody who's got multiple items or takes up a lot of the one page, I sometimes will slap it on a Post-it note and list off all of their items so that it can stick with their box. But then once everything's packaged up and ready to go, then it moves to the kitchen, which is the out the door station. I grab it when I go out the door next and drop it up.
Isn't it funny how our houses have like totally transformed into a whole different thing?
Yes.
And it works.
It
does.
There's not a lot of space. Sometimes I can't put there, but
I learned the hard way when I first started, because I had so much, and my basement and my garage were like vintage storage. It stored items for pending sales. It stored items for either of my booths, and it stored items that I wanted to upcycle.
Yeah.
So I literally spent all day in my garage yesterday organizing and making it better. But that's essentially my process. I have to have the stations. I think mentally it helps me categorize where I'm at.
Yep.
That's perfect. Yes.
I need a visual of what is going to need to go out and then what I need to put back on the shelf. And the visual helps.
Yeah.
What about you, Jennifer?
So I have like two different, like when I'm doing a live sale, I have like numbers, like, so number 1 is this item, number 2 is this item, number 3 is this item. But I also keep a spreadsheet of all my inventory and what has sold and what has not sold. So as the live sale is going on, not only am I writing down on the piece, my notepad, how much the item sold for and who it sold to, I'm also inputting it on my spreadsheet as like a backup.
Okay.
So at the end of the sale, I know what item 1, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, they all sold. So then what I do as I'm starting to pack an invoice, and I pack and invoice each item individually. Okay, number 1 item, Rhonda bought number 1 and number 7. So I go ahead and pack those up, get them in the box. And then I grab a sticky note, number 1 and number 7 to the cracked kitten, the box dimensions and the box weight. And then I take that and then go, enter it into Pirate Ship to figure out the shipping, and then onto PayPal for invoicing.
Nice.
My dining room table is honestly my everything station. It's not just my dining room station. I'm sitting here when I'm doing the live sale. The sold items stay on the dining room table. The unsold items go back into the cart. The cart gets wheeled away back into my bedroom. And then my dining room table is my shipping station, my wrapping station. And then all the boxes kind of just like go over to the side over here in a pile with the sticky notes on them. And as the invoices are paid, the sticky notes come off. And then I know that one's been paid. And then I usually wait until I have at least 2 or more packages to ship. If it's USPS, I'll schedule a pickup and they come and pick it up. Or I also wait, if I have a UPS package, I'll wait till I have at least 1 or 2 packages before taking those over to UPS. So my dining room table is pretty much an everything table at this point. I don't think I would be allowed to put my vintage on in the kitchen because we actually cook. We cook almost every night, I have to say. So yeah, can't use a stove, but the dining room, we don't often eat at the dining room table. Often we eat like on the couches because the table is just full of stuff.
Sure.
So
yep, I get that. Yeah. I get that. I know. Well, that's really interesting. What were you going to say, Rhonda? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just so refreshing hearing this from other people, because in my mind, when you're doing this from home and it's just you and you're just seeing people on the other side, everything looks perfect. Like, no, I feel like I'm a hoarder. Like, I feel like
love that you said that, Rhonda.
And it is just so refreshing to be like, I'm normal. This is normal.
Yes.
Sister, yes. We find that all the time for us too. We're like, I feel like we're not doing it organized or whatever, but no, we're doing the best we can with what we have. We're doing it. And I think it comes off really well.
It does. It does. I mean, we have everybody in ISN from like literally every walk of life. We have people that have full-time jobs. We have doctors, nurses, you name it. We've got, we have people there. We have all people that are full-time resellers. And I will say, I know a lot of you are probably like David and I that have wanted to, had the pandemic switch, as I call it, where you had this gig and now you're doing something completely different. So this reselling thing, I had no idea what this was going to look like in terms of space in my home, space in my garage, where my shelves are for my inventory, where we keep the shipping stuff. And Rhonda, I all the time, David and I are like, we're failing, but you know what? We aren't. We're getting.
No one wants to look at my garage right now. It's terrible.
Right. Like, I just don't show the behind the scenes of what everything looks like because it's a hot mess express. But I think about 90% of us that do this from home are like that. You know what I mean?
Because, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, especially for with like the furniture refinishing, I have like. How many projects do I have out in the garage right now? Probably 4. There's like 4 projects and they're all like leaning up against things. I have things in the middle of the garage that are half painted and not painted. Stuff that is like half, like it's.
Yeah.
My garage is chaos. And plus it's our storage thing. Like that's where my boyfriend keeps a lot of his woodworking stuff, and where we have like a storage shelf with all our Halloween and Christmas decorations. But I don't think I would ever show a behind the scenes photo because people, I don't know, I feel like I would get seriously judged.
Same.
At my garage.
And you know, I have like Misty as a mentor to me. All you guys all know Thrift or Junk or Vintage Hunter Misty. Like she has a separate building for all of her inventory, her shipping, even her broadcasts. Like it's all in this cute building, and she's got it like decorated all cute. And I'm like, here I am in my house, surrounded by like stuff I'm trying not to break, and I'm like maneuvering around vintage constantly. Oh no, I've broken a Bambi figurine. You know, I mean, it's chaos. But good.
You didn't really break that though.
All of you to know, we all started like this. We all have started with the mass chaos in our home. So if that feels like you're not alone. We are all here with you to tell you that's normal. It's just a part of what we do. So
I broke something yesterday as I was we were coming home from an estate sale. It wasn't anything vintage. Luckily, it wasn't anything inventory, but it was my favorite coffee cup. Like I dropped it and it shattered. I was like, well, I guess at least I broke that for the day. Not anything.
If that's all I broke, we're cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. So that brings me to probably my last question for today. And first of all, it's kind of a two-parter, guys. So I want to hear about maybe something you found this week out picking that was exciting to you. And I want to know for anybody that is new to this that might be watching, what's something you wish you knew when you first started that you now know that has made your life easier? And we can start with anybody. It doesn't matter.
I mean, going back to what we just discussed, I would have to say my most important lesson in starting up has definitely been the value of time management.
Yeah.
For new sellers, people considering that it is imperative. You know, for me personally, I don't like to feel like I'm failing. Yeah. And if I'm not managing my time properly, I'm not only failing myself, I feel like I'm failing my buyers.
Right.
And, yeah. And I don't want to do that. Right. So for me,
Yep.
time management definitely is priority number one for getting yourself in a position to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And as far as the vintage pickings goes for this week, I have to share because just coming off the Super Bowl weekend, I got a
seat pad.
Is it a seat pad?
It is.
Very
the
cool.
Bears. It is like brand spanking new. Like I love this thing. I will, outside of all the horror and the oddities and weird stuff I love, I will always snag any Chicago Bear vintage I can find. I have 3 awesome nephews and a 15-year-old son, and between the 4 of them, I'll take it.
Yes, that's so awesome.
And I love to share the vintage with the younger generation. I mean, like they're still kind of growing into it. My nephews are older, but my son is the youngest, and it's just I love to share that value with them.
My son will be 15 next month, Rhonda. That's cool.
My
youngest son will be 15 in March. My oldest is 18, so he'll be 19 this year.
Who just scored his first Pyrex set, by the way?
Yes,
Ooh,
yes.
wow.
Well, I won't. Hopefully, he doesn't watch this or anything on YouTube because he doesn't know. But yeah, I got the 15-year-old. He's going to complete his first set. He's going to be happy.
Nice.
He's a little collector too.
That's so great. I love that.
So something I wish I knew when I first started. Dang, I wish I knew about Pirate Ship a whole lot sooner than what I did, because I used to do everything through. I used to invoice and do all the shipping through PayPal, and I didn't know shipping rates. So I had to go on USPS and guess at how much stuff would cost for shipping and everything like that. And then I got introduced to Pirate Ship, and it changed my life. Yeah. And now it's even 10 times better because you can use PayPal to create your shipping labels. So I think now I'm going to do all my shipping now through Pirate Ship to where it just pulls from PayPal. I can choose to ship with USPS if I so choose, if that's the better rate or not. Because beforehand, I wasn't doing that. And I was probably losing out on shipping a lot more than I was probably eating the shipping a lot more than what I should have. Yeah. So definitely any new sellers, go sign up for Pirate Ship. It is a lifesaver, and it's a really easy platform to use. You can use your PayPal balance, or you can link a credit card through it if you want to do that. And let's see, things I'm excited that I found this week, and I'm going to be careful because it's glass.
Whoa, sugar blendo, girl.
It's a blender. It's chip and dip set. It had the cradle. I saw it in the preview for the estate sale, and I'm going to put it down while I talk so I don't drop it. But it was in the previews, and when we got to the estate sale, there were a bunch of cars there, but no one was in their cars. And they're like, my first thought was like, oh, great. They opened it, and we got there at 8:30. The sale said opens at 9. And I was like, all right, we'll be 30 minutes early and we'll get in line. Well, it's like 8:24, 8:26, and no one's in their cars, which means they already opened early. So I was like, sure that this thing was gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So yay.
Good for you, Jennifer.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Great find.
What about you, David?
Well, for me, okay, shipping all across the board, guys. 100%. Like the first 6 months, we were shooting like 61 weddings a year. So when we were shipping stuff, we would ship it up, and then we were taking it to UPS store or wherever and finishing up the process there. And that was me. I was like, oh, I'll take care of it. No, lost a lot of money that way.
Lost so much money.
Just wasn't prepared, But so throughout this whole process of growing, I think the biggest thing looking back would be, and I think Sarah would probably agree with me, is to do the calendar thing, is to set it up and structure it to where you never are going too hard, never getting burnt out, never just putting yourself into a position where you're like, okay, why am I doing this? You want to keep it happy. You want to keep it fun. Work is work, but this is one of those things you want to, you can structure it yourself. You're self-employed, so structure it to where your life is happy and you're happy. And we weren't doing that at the beginning, and now we've kind of gotten a better handle on it. But we're getting better.
We're
Yeah,
working in progress.
Yeah, my vintage selling is definitely like my happy place. Like I work in an oncology office. I receptionist there. I do a lot of chemo scheduling, so I get the patients set up their first chemo appointments and like keep them on their schedules or let them know what their next schedules are. So, my job brings me a lot of joy, but it also can be, when you
Really
see someone, it can be really tough. So for me, it's a side gig, but it helps bring me a little bit even more joy in my life. Not that my job is not joyful, because believe me, some of my patients, I love them, and some of them have gone through so much, and their happiness, even in the worst of times, is so catching. So I think they also help me in what I'm doing. And mainly the main reason I do this is so I can fill my shelves with even more vintage goods. That's the whole reason why I do it is, but yeah, it is important to get joy out of it, because if you don't get joy out of it, you're not going to stick with it.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, that is so true, Jennifer. We started out, this was a total part-time side gig, and it was something that brought me joy, and I sold so I could buy what I wanted to buy. Same exact deal. And now that this is full-time, holy cow, that shift between going from part-time selling as my hobby and fun to this is what pays my car payment. It's a really different shift in thinking. And I will tell you, I don't have it all figured out yet. I'm still learning, but the calendar, was life-changing. And I overextended myself last year in 2021. And I was literally just trying to do sales with every single person that asked me. And I was trying to fit everybody in because I don't want to let anybody down. And what happened was I ended up getting really, really burnt out, overextended, frustrated, tired, never had a moment to myself. I still really don't, but I'm managing it better than I was last year.
Better.
I should say that.
Better.
Yeah.
Well, and if I can add, I don't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry, but one thing that I love about this community, both the sellers and the buyers, and even just the viewers, when life gets chaotic, a simple communication to your customer
Amen.
goes so far.
So far.
People are very understanding that life
Yes.
happens,
Yes.
and I didn't get this out to the post office because XYZ.
Yeah.
But just that human interaction of
Mhm.
just saying, hey, I'm sorry, I aimed for this and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So many people, everybody's so understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree.
Communication is everything. And even if you've got a shipping delay and you've gotten behind and things are hairy, just message, send a kind DM to people and let them know I care about you as a customer. Your stuff is a priority to me. My dog is sick this week, or my kids, or whatever it is.
Right.
People really do care and understand. And I think that's the benefit in what we have on Insta with these really special personal relationships with not only with our co-sellers, but we also have great relationships with our buyers and people that come to our shows, and they understand we are real people, we are real humans, and we definitely want you to have your stuff ASAP. But sometimes life, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. As long as you communicate it to a customer, whether it be a post or a story or a DM, let people know what you're dealing with, because we do have that benefit in being able to post about my week has blown up. My dog's got to go to the vet. Da, 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 you know what I mean? As long as you let people know, I have found that our customers, buyers, and co-sellers are the kindest, most wonderful people,
Mhm.
So just communicate. Good point, Rhonda. Love that.
Yeah.
So, my favorite thing I found this last week, and it was actually more about 10 days ago, so don't kill me, but I found these Blinko mushrooms, which I used for examples earlier. I thrifted these $4.99 and $3.99,
Nice.
and they will actually be in my sale tonight on YouTube at the Cult of Vintage with Michael Todd.
Oh, nice.
So definitely a favorite find for me to be able to find Blinko in the wild thrifting like that. It was very exciting.
And I forgot to show my favorite find.
What was your favorite
Okay, and going back to what Rhonda was saying as well, there's something about when you're doing a live sale, especially a live sale, if you're selling stuff that you love, it comes through. It just comes through. And so I do like to pick things that are selling, but there is something about having a bunch of vintage items that I like a lot and know about. It does come through. But this is one of those kind of pieces, because as a kid, I always saw like grandparents and uncles, different people having these little sets, their carpenter set. And
Oh,
the
draft
reason,
kit?
yes, and this one's a wooden piece, very, very old. And what I love about it is I didn't clean it out. It still has the wood sawdust and from whatever work was done with it. So yeah, I'm selling this tonight, but this is like one of those kind of pieces when you see out, like for me, I'm just like, wow, I just want to know the story behind it, who was using it, what was built with it. So
yeah, what they made with it.
yeah,
I feel like that goes so far. If there is a story behind it,
yes,
I sold I don't know, 2 weeks ago, in a vintage Valentine candy heart. They had written on the tiniest little section, first curls, and you opened it up and it literally was some little girl's first curls. And like,
How
Oh,
cute.
wow.
like, I love that.
I
love
do
I
too.
love that.
like,
too.
I think I'm definitely an old soul, and that kind of stuff just resonates with me. Like, I could be lost in a daydream for hours on just that piece.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well,
It's
that is-
funny. My hairdresser she collects oddities. Like she likes like more morbid stuff and like taxidermy and stuff. In fact, I'm still looking for a raccoon for her. Like she wants a raccoon. So like whenever I find this taxidermied raccoon, I guess I'm going to give her a call. But my boyfriend actually found a graduating mortuary class of 1952. And I guess it was the person who had passed their estate sale, but it had this entire graduating class of 1952 for mortuary school. And it had him in it and, everyone else, but it was October of 1952. Like,
oh, even better.
So cool.
I know, it was so cool. And she, like, I showed her a picture of it and she immediately bought it. So it was pretty, that was like a fun, like little, like the story behind it. Oh, he was a mortician. That's kind of cool.
That is absolutely so cool. So cool. Well, you guys, this has been an insanely productive conversation, and I'm so grateful for you guys all being my guests today. Thank you so much. A huge congratulations to Rhonda on 1 year of selling vintage on Insta. I'm so happy for you. Happy anniversary and congratulations. We love having you as a part of our community. So
Yes.
Thank you so
keep
much.
at it, sister.
I'm so happy to be here today. So
that's
thank you.
Awesome. So you guys, upcoming, if you are just now watching this, this is a pre-recorded, and I will note that this is pre-recorded. I would love to see all of you. Please go follow Junk Drunk Mantiques, Junebug Vintage, and the Cracked Kitten. Their shop.
Yeah, there we go. I'm back.
All these peeps. So their shop links are in the description of this video. So if you would just take a quick sec and pop over to Insta and follow these wonderful people. They are just a part of our community that is wonderful. We have in ISN, we have people, like I said, from every walk of life that sell vintage on Insta with us, and branching out to YouTube has been so wonderful. So thank you guys all for watching. Those that are watching the replay, thank you guys so much for being here and supporting us. If you would please, like I said, show some love to these peeps, subscribe to the Traveling Button. That is my channel. And let's see, this is Monday. So my next sale is going to be Wednesday on here on YouTube. I have a weekly show. My co-host is Amy's Rock and Pop Shop, and we usually have a guest every week. Sometimes it's just us two, but usually we do have a third person on as a guest, and we do a little sale, and it is a bunch of fun. That's every Wednesday for Wicked Good Vintage at 4 p.m. Eastern. Guys, when's your next sales?
I'm open this week. I have no sales. I've got a lot of stuff going on, back office stuff, so no sales for me this week.
Okay.
I will be live Tuesday night with Sacred Heart Vintage.
Awesome.
We're gonna kick off like an early spring cleaning sale. So
Fun.
yeah,
that'll be great. I will definitely try to make it there.
Yes.
So I don't have any live sales coming up for this month yet, but I am doing a static sale Sunday, actually. This is pre-recorded, so today is Sunday, but I have putting some Pyrex and other mid-century goodies up on my static feed, and then my next static feed sale is going to be the ISN Lovely Linens, where I'm going to post a couple of things. So
yes,
all
and
static sales for me.
Linens, guys, and that's a static sale. So the participants post pictures with descriptions of the items and prices, and then you just go claim what you want. So definitely make your way over to Insta and follow everybody here if you would. Again, links are in the description, and we all have looks like pretty productive weeks coming up. So thank you guys all for being here, and thank you guys all for contributing to helping others in our community. It's so important to network like we do, and Instagram Shop Network has been a huge catalyst for me to get to know so many people and learn so much. So if you are interested in being a part of that, I also have the link in our description, and we welcome everyone. So have a great day, you guys. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's
Have
Day.
a wonderful, sweet day filled with maybe some chocolate and some fun.
Ooh.
And enjoy. Peace, love, and vintage, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.